Hello, welcome to Catholic Life, ordinary people with extraordinary faith. I'm Deacon Jody Moscona. Thank you for joining us today. Big things happening in the world of politics and church and life in general, and that Roe v. Wade being overturned just was like transformative of the whole movement in the world. And we're blessed today to have Lauren DeWitt with us, who's with the Pregnancy Problems Center. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me, Deacon.
You know, Lauren, when the Dobbs case came down, I mean, there were people that didn't believe it would ever happen, were totally shocked. One was my pastor. He kept calling me. He says, "Is this real? You're a lawyer. Can you tell me if it's really real? What's going on?" You know, and it was like, it was so exciting. You know,
I mean, when I got the text from a friend, that I started crying. It was just overwhelming, and for that to happen on the Solemnity of the Sacred Heart, it was just incredible. And I've worked in the pro-life movement for almost 9 years now, usually in volunteering positions. And I confess, I kind of accepted Roe as a thing that it's going to be a framework that we work in. And you get jaded for a while after working in it, and so you don't want to hold out this hope that it'll get overturned. So I mean, it was just super source of joy.
Yeah, it was just fantastic. And you know, if you go to the pre-Dobbs world, where we were tiptoeing through regulations, and were they going to be regulations that the court affirmed, or were they going to be struck down, and how far can you go, and how far can you go, and it was a whole political, like juggling balls almost.
Right.
And we were fairly successful.
We
with
were
that,
really successful.
You know?
Yeah.
But never ever did we lose hope that eventually we'd get a majority of the court.
Right.
Now you're a lawyer.
Former
lawyer,
recovering attorney.
Yeah, recovering attorney. I love that. And so you have a background of understanding of all that kind of stuff, and I'm sure people ask you those kind of questions, you know. So what are they doing now with this lawsuit? Yeah, and I get that all the time.
Right.
And we can't control that kind of stuff. We just watch and see what happens.
Right.
So tell me, I'm guessing that this decision has resulted in a lot of work for y'all.
It has. So we actually started seeing an increase in work last summer when the Texas heartbeat law went into effect. Because our name is Pregnancy Problems Center, a lot of times people think that we might be a facility that provides abortions. So we had women from Texas that were calling our center, trying to find somewhere they could go to get abortions. So we started seeing an increase last summer in women seeking services. And of course, when they call us, we're able to say, hey, there's other options. There's things we can do. What's your hang up? How can we help you? So that was really exciting. But then when Dobbs happened, it was like blowing the whole thing up. I mean, we have so many calls coming in now from women who need help, and also just from wonderful people who are saying, how can we help now? What do you need? What kind of donations do you need? Can I volunteer? So our volunteers at the center right now are absolutely overwhelmed.
So let's get in your background just a little bit. Okay, I know you were a lawyer and a convert.
Yes. And
your husband's a convert.
Yes.
Your parents are a convert.
Yes.
You're a converted family. So
yes.
That's awesome. I love that. And most of the time, converts are more passionate.
Absolutely.
You know, and so you probably came to this with a level of passion that kind of exceeds what a lot of people who just understand the need for it.
Right. And for me, my involvement in the pro-life movement is really integrally tied up with my conversion. And the reason I'm so passionate about it is because it's a personal issue for me and my family. So I found myself pregnant out of wedlock my second year of law school and faced immense pressure to have an abortion. And that's actually how I ended up back in Baton Rouge. My family had moved here while I was in law school. So I moved back here to try to get some support to help finish up school. And that having that baby, having my daughter, that changed everything for us.
Yeah, changed your life.
Absolutely. So before I had got pregnant, I was pro-choice. I was 22, And I didn't think a lot about it. It was just, that's what people do, and that's the party line. And living, the law sphere can be very liberal socially.
Right.
And so that's a lot of what I was getting. But I was raised Southern Baptist, so I had a really good scriptural foundation. And when I found myself pregnant, I hadn't prayed in years, but when I found out I was pregnant, that was the first prayer I'd pray, and I just said, God, help me. And I was so blessed because even though I faced a whole lot of opposition, my family was supportive.
Mm-hmm.
My family knew people in the community that were able to get me transferred over to LSU Law so that I could finish my law degree on time. My family was involved in a Protestant church, and they stepped up and really helped me. They threw me a baby shower. They helped watch the baby right after she was born. You don't get maternity leave in law school.
No, not hardly.
No, so I was, I had her on a Friday and was back in class Tuesday. And I couldn't have done it without the support. And even with all of that support, it was really, really hard. So you can imagine, there's so many women out there that don't have all of that support, and
Right.
they have no idea if their families will be supportive of them when they find themselves in those positions. So that's when I got really passionate about women need information. They need to know what's really going on with their bodies. They need to know that this isn't just a clump of cells. This is a baby with a beating heart at 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And they need to know that there's good men and women of faith across all backgrounds, Catholic, Protestant, what have you, that want to help, that
Mhm.
really want to help.
One of the things that has struck me as really kind of insidious, I read some of the articles attacking the pregnancy centers, the pro-life pregnancy centers, and these people are calling them fake centers.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, no, these are the people helping the women.
Right.
The other centers, the abortion centers, are killing babies and destroying women's lives.
Yeah.
And they come from a perspective of we're helping women,
Right.
which is nonsense.
It's the great irony of the pro-choice movement, right? Their operative word here is choice. But what I found when I found myself pregnant was there's only one acceptable choice. The line is if you do not have this abortion, no man will ever want to marry you. You will never get ahead in your career. Your friends, they'll be out doing fun things, and you're going to be at home by yourself struggling. And don't you know how many children of single moms end up using drugs or in poverty? There's no real choice from that perspective when that's what you're being sold. And so that's why when that Dobbs decision came out, these Planned Parenthoods, these abortion centers, they closed their doors because they were there for one thing. They weren't there to actually help women or give them a choice. They were there to kill children.
Right.
So.
And so we are in a place right now, societal, where there's just transition after transition after transition, and it's all over the place. And really, that's what the decision it put into effect, state by state by state decisions. And
Right.
so you see it all over the place. There's no universal. Before, the universal choice was,
Mhm.
like you said, have an abortion. Now the universal choice is all over the place.
Right, right.
And you do have a lot of choices.
Yes.
You can put a baby up for adoption, you can keep the baby, and there's a lot of support.
Right. But what was disturbing about during the Roe time was you still had those other options. You could still always raise the baby, or you could give it up for adoption, but you had this pressure to have the abortion, and so there wasn't breathing space to talk about those other options because it's the quick fix, right? It goes away for
Right.
everybody else, and only the woman's left thinking about it after the fact. But now we're really grappling with these choices, and it's brought it back from this national level down to grassroots level more and front lines, and we can really meet individuals one-on-one, which is how hearts get changed. They don't get
Right.
changed by political slogans. But now we can really be there and say, here are the options, but we have to make sure the options are there.
I'm so glad you came today because I didn't know your background or your story, and to hear it is so impactful because you're not coming from a theoretical perspective. You're coming from an actual lived
Right.
world where you can tell people the truth,
Right.
and they can't tell you that's not the truth.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. I lived it.
Yeah, because a lot of times that's what they'll do.
Mm-hmm.
You'll make an argument and say, "Oh, that's not the truth,"
Mm-hmm.
and you better have a comeback. And
Right.
yours is, "No, it's the truth. I lived it."
Right. And what's great was, so I said my choice to have my baby was really integrally tied with my conversion. After I chose to have her, I started looking into, what is the church teaching? Why do I feel this way? Why was this so clearly and obviously right choice when I was living a very secular, bohemian lifestyle? And so that's when I discovered theology of the body and the Catholic Church teaching. And I was like, wow.
Yeah, it's just,
So,
look, I just preached 2 weeks ago and basically gave a whole homily on the lawyer, the scholar of the law who challenged God.
right.
You're going to stand there and challenge the Lord. Lawyers do that.
Yeah.
Lawyers have to be able to listen and be able to react. But people that listen and don't listen because they're trying to formulate their response don't hear what you're saying.
Right.
And what I said was, look, can we just realize that the church has been right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's natural law. It's the law written on the heart of every man. And that's why I think you wouldn't see so much turmoil in women's lives over abortion if that wasn't the truth. Because if it's just a clump of cells, or if it's not a person until it's born for whatever reason, then we wouldn't have problems with it. We wouldn't have women seeking psychological help after they've gone through this. There wouldn't be so much shame and guilt tied up with it. But it's the fundamental law of humanity, and that's why there's so much at stake here.
Right. And in the scriptures just recently, they talked about the laws written in our hearts. It's on our lips. And so we know that we know that we know, and they know,
Right.
and they're ignoring it. They're rationalizing.
They're rationalizing, and then, don't undercount the spiritual warfare aspect of it too, because isn't that Satan's oldest trick to say,
It's not a sin.
Yeah, he just straight lies. He just lies. And so, and that's why they get caught in these indefensible logical positions, because they're not logical. They're just lies that Satan has spun.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we'll talk about the Pregnancy Problem Center, and we'll figure out what we can do to help and all that stuff. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
We're going to take a short break. Stay with us. You're watching Catholic Life, Ordinary People with Extraordinary Faith. We'll be right back.
We are the fog on your glasses. We are the cup to go at breakfast. We are the answer to your deadline. We are closing the deal. But more than anything, we are never being out of coffee ever again. Never. We are River Road Coffees, and we're ready to prove that our coffee is better than whatever coffee you're drinking at the office. Call us today for a side-by-side taste test so you can get powered by River Road Coffees.
Where's Tommy?
I thought he was with you.
No.
Jack.
Tommy?
Go get him.
Don't stop. Keep playing. Here we go. Here's the fun part.
Did you do this?
Great job.
Encouragement. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Welcome back. You're watching Catholic Life, Ordinary People with Extraordinary Faith. Today we have Lauren DeWitt with us, and she's with the Pregnancy Problem Center. And what a story you had to tell us.
Thank you.
Man, thank you so much for coming in. I tell you, I'm taken back a little bit by your story.
God's amazing.
It's magnificent. But let's talk about the center.
Yeah.
So you're a volunteer.
Yes.
You call it recovering lawyer?
Recovering lawyer, yes.
I love it. Me too, by the way.
Yeah.
So you are the director?
I'm not the director. That job belongs to Francis Broussard, who's just an incredible.
Oh, yeah. You're on the board.
I'm
board,
president
right?
of the board.
Okay.
So I got involved in after my pregnancy, and once I became pro-life and converted to Catholicism, I was like, wait, we got to help people. We got to get out there. And so I found Pregnancy Problem Center. They've been around for 40 years. When Mother Teresa came and actually established the Missionaries of Charity here in Baton Rouge, she actually came and blessed the center's mission.
Wow,
So
great.
we have an awesome history in the area. And so I came on board in probably 2017, 16 or 17, and it's just a great center. And so we've worked in that time to get moved across town to an area where our services are more readily available to the populations that need us.
So where are y'all?
We are located on Florida Street, so kind of catty corner from Mid-City Hospital.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
So there's bus stations nearby. The hospital's right there. If they get a woman in that needs a pregnancy test and needs help, they can send her right down the street. And we work to get our website up and running. And so we've done a whole lot in the last few years, and thank God that He's provided us with the resources and the volunteers we've needed, because the need's only grown.
So you just hit a soft spot, and that is post-obs needs grow exponentially.
Exponentially, yes. So the abortion problem is so much wider than people think. So, most people of faith, a lot of times I find, think of it as a problem that's outside of them. They really want to help, and they're really well-intentioned about it, but they think they don't know anybody, or it's not a situation that affects them directly. Well, the reality is that we can tell from statistics, or almost half of pregnancies in the U.S. are unplanned. So that's amongst people that even want to keep their baby or are excited when they find out they're pregnant. So almost half of pregnancies have some degree of, whoa, I didn't know this was going to happen, or this wasn't on my plans, and so they need help. Among that number, 1 in 4 women of childbearing age will at some point in their life have an abortion. So it's a huge problem, and it affects, I would be hard pressed to say there's any single family that doesn't have someone close to them or in their friend circle that has not struggled with this issue. It's not something that is an us versus them thing. It's all of us. It's affecting every level of society.
So what people are watching, what can they do to help?
Well, first of all, pray. I say anything good that we do for God begins before God in our knees. And we need your prayers, we need your sacrifices. All of that stuff makes such a bigger difference than we think. But there's also a lot of practical things that we can do. So monetary donations. We live on a shoestring budget. And one of the scariest things every year for us at the center is when we find out what the state is doing with the state grants. It is very competitive to get state grant money, and it makes up a large percentage of our operating fund whenever we do get those grants. But last year, some grants were cut, things were changed around, given to different centers, different metrics were made, and so that made things really hard for us financially. So one of the easiest things that people can do is just to donate. Any amount helps.
Can they do that online?
Absolutely.
So tell them where they go.
So we have Pregnancy Problem Center, BR.com, so Pregnancy Problem Center Baton Rouge. And you can go on there, you can make a one-time monetary gift, or you can sign up for automatic recurring giving. And if people aren't comfortable with paying online, you can always mail checks or just come by the center and drop it off. We'll take anything you got.
And you can go to the website to get the address. And
Absolutely.
Or maybe we can put it on the screen.
Absolutely.
So I know that money is a big thing, but so are personal resources.
Absolutely. So the Pregnancy Problem Center is unique in that we have 2 different ways you can help personally. So one is by coming and volunteering in the center itself, and you might work directly with women who need help, or you might volunteer in a sort of back office capacity. Clerical, and we also have a Mom and Me shop that takes donated baby goods, so
nice.
Diapers, we have breast pumps, we have cribs, we have everything that you could need. We also teach classes on parenting, pregnancy, NFP, anything somebody might need. So there's so many ways you can volunteer personally at the center. And one of the other big things that we need right now is we're looking for an assistant director, which would be an official paid capacity, part-time, but to come in and really help us organize our fundraising and our marketing and just those general administrative things that go on every day.
So if you're interested in a part-time job and you feel a pull at your heart right now, you might want to reach out and see if you or somebody that is qualified to fill that position.
Right.
I know there are a lot of people who have those kind of fundraising skills and different things. They've done it in professional capacities and they're quasi-retired or whatever,
Right.
and maybe they could help out. One of the things that people often ask when you say, what can I do? And you say, well, come help. Mm-hmm. Can they just show up or they need to call first? Or how do you want them to effect
I would
that?
call first. We also have a submission form on the website. If you don't want to call or you can't for whatever reason, you can go to the website as well and submit a form and just see what we need. That's, this happens in any type of volunteer situation where people want to help, but then they end up helping in a way that's not helpful.
Right. And why don't you throw out the phone number for us, too?
Actually don't know it off the top of my head.
Okay, we'll get it and put it on the screen.
Yeah, that would be super helpful.
That I didn't mean to put you on the
No,
screen.
I'm sorry. I have that mom brain, so those numbers.
That happens.
It does. Yeah.
So it's a very exciting time right now.
It is.
With Roe v. Wade being overthrown, the Dobbs decision, it's waters we're trying to navigate, right? How are y'all navigating the waters? Give us a little overview of the reality of what's happened.
Right. So like I said, the numbers have really increased in women calling for help, and I've read in some secular media that even across the board, request for contraception of all stripes has increased exponentially. So on one hand, that's kind of scary because that means before Dobbs, people were really relying on abortion as an option.
Which is really sad.
It's really sad, and it's one of those things that people just had subconsciously in the back of their mind. So when they come to Pregnancy Problem Center, we don't want to give them a bad fix like abortion or like contraception or anything like that. We want to really heal them. We want to know that this is not just a biological thing that's happening. This is a spiritual thing. This is a participation in the creation of God. And so we have lay counselors there that can help walk them through, process everything that they're thinking. We have free pregnancy tests and ultrasounds so they can really see that little baby and see, hey, it's there. It's not just a clump of cells. We have some wonderful women that teach classes. One of the big things that women come in and they're afraid with, I don't know how to have a baby. I don't know what to do. And so we have classes that the fathers can come to as well. That's one of the unique things about our center is we try to be very whole family approach. This isn't just a woman's issue. This is a family issue. And so we want the dads to come in too, and we try to provide for their material needs with this Mom and Me shop. We have outfits that will donate money. We've got an organization that we work with that if the reason you want to have an abortion is because you think you won't be able to afford your groceries, or you don't have a car, or you can't afford childcare, they will pay for it. So we've got so many people that want to help, but it's finding these resources and knowing you're not alone. And that these lay counselors, they're not just going to be there to walk you through it on the day of, they're going to be there for years afterwards.
Right. Which is a big fallacy that the other side says is you don't want to help the women,
You're pro-birth, not pro-life.
It's like, come on.
Yeah.
That's just absolutely not true.
Right.
And y'all are living proof of it, and among others.
Right.
So I love that you started with prayer. And the reason I say that is because when you see the anger and the just intense madness over this whole thing, that can only come from one side.
Absolutely.
That's evil. Yeah. And when you attack evil, the best way to attack evil is with good.
Right.
With positive prayer, asking the intercession of the Lord and our Blessed Mother. So, do y'all have a prayerful spirit at the center?
We have a very prayerful spirit. So today's Wednesday, which is actually awesome because We have dedicated our center under the care of St. Joseph, and the church has
Nice.
historically dedicated Wednesdays to St. Joseph. And so every Wednesday, the board, everyone on the board are involved with the facility. We offer up all of our prayers, works, joys, and sufferings of that day for the Pregnancy Problem Center.
Awesome.
So we try to make some little sacrifice at some point in the day that's specifically for the center and the women and families that need us. And we make sure we pray specifically for the center on that day.
So some of the people at our church went to Medjugorje recently,
Yeah.
and they came back, and they are now fasting on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So, and our men's group meets on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
So I am going to suggest to them that they offer that fasting up.
That, I mean, Jesus said some demons only come out by prayer and fasting. And like you said, this is demonic that we're working with here. So fasting is so crucial and such a lost art.
Yeah. Well, it's lost in the minds. It's not lost in the heart. I
Right.
think people do fast in ways that's not food.
Yes, absolutely.
We used to, the sisters used to tell us at school, give it up.
Yes.
I think we do give things up. I just don't
Absolutely.
think it's a formal thought out thing, and we can change that.
Right.
You know, so the center, y'all haven't been attacked or anything yet.
No,
Okay.
I know of one center in the city that has been
Yeah,
attacked.
they have been.
Yeah.
But a lot of them around the country has. And
Absolutely.
That's another whole part of this. So is there anything, I know that this is going to be a left side question, anything politically that people should do? Contact anybody for y'all?
Just staying in front of our representatives and councilmen and women and letting them know that this is a real threat. This isn't something that we're just making up or being overdone about. This is happening in our community. And so I know the Baton Rouge Police and Fire Department have been incredible to our center. Before the Dobbs decision came out, they came and met with us and
Really?
gave
Nice.
us direct lines. So they've been wonderful. But just making sure that people continue to know that this isn't something that is going to go away or die down. This is going to keep being an issue for some time.
Right. And that's the way the law is, you say it's not a constitutional right, you return it to the states, the fights are going to be at the state.
Right.
Well, the fights have been at the state, but it's a different fight.
Right.
It's been a fight to navigate within the prior decisions.
Right.
What kind of regulations? Now it's, can we effect massive change?
Right, exactly.
And y'all are doing a great job, and I want to thank you so much for coming. Your story was so impactful, and remember to pray for the Problem Pregnancy Center. Reach out to them, go to their website, get the phone number, and help in any way you can. And thank you for joining us today. It's been a pleasure bringing the show to you, and we appreciate you watching so much. Until next time, God bless everyone.